Welcome back to an unexpected art lesson about John William Waterhouse. So I think it is time for us to talk about video games that were influenced by Waterhouse, including a specific character from a Bloodborne game that you have talked about quite a bit both here and in our Substack, which, if it has not been updated on our blog on our website, it will be soon. I'm gonna be working on that this week. But take it away, Watson.
First off, thank you, Brianna, for helping with that, because I enjoy writing about these neat video game and art connections, and getting to share them with everyone is even more fun, oddly enough.
Just sharing your special interests with other people who are also interested.
Watson learned something new about the human condition today. Go me! Anywho, so Bloodborne is a game that I am deeply fascinated by. The amount of story found within the game itself, the initial premise, and even each of the tales of various hunters that are found throughout the game, they have these rich, complex backstories that the more you investigate about them, the more you learn. And one of the characters that really spoke to me about both Clint and obviously Waterhouse is Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower. This is part of the Old Hunters expansion DLC. This drops you into what's known as the Hunter's Nightmare, a realm where hunters who committed atrocities in Yharnam are condemned to hunt, to be in battle forever. They are unable to die, unable to stop. It is a place of punishment that does not announce itself as punishment. It looks like this bizarre version of Yharnam, or the town that your character starts in, that has been running for far too long. Architecture collapses into itself, blood everywhere, hunters moving through the streets in a kind of frenzy that has long since lost any connection to purpose. They're simply trapped in battle for the sake of battle. While exploring this new nightmare realm, you are told gradually through item descriptions and environmental details that the things done in this place were done in the name of progress. The Healing Church wanted to understand the old blood. The hunters were their instruments. The particular character that we're speaking about today, Maria, is such one of those hunters.
This is also a great example of why, when it comes to anything called old blood, maybe don't mess with that. Maybe don't mess with dark, old, eldritch sources of power that you do not understand, especially if it involves having to experiment on people. Even if they volunteer, that's not gonna go well, ever. But I do very much like how basically the hunter's nightmare is that dream where you're running through a place, either chasing something or being chased, and the place you're running through is familiar, but it's also wrong, and you can't stop running, even if you don't remember what you're running after or what you're running from.
Precisely, and it was something that I was really fascinated by when I first started up this particular DLC, because for a moment, you actually think that you are still in the same area. And then the more you progress, the more you see that this is twisted. This is this bizarre incarnation or nightmare of where you started.
The closer you look, the more you start to see the horrible truth. And that's a fate that you can't escape. You just have to keep looking.
And as quite a few hunters in this particular dream realized, they weren't getting out.
Mm-hmm.
Although Maria is one of the more interesting hunters in this particular game, and this is due to some of her own history that you find through exploration. She was born into the Canehurst nobility, a lineage that the hunters and successfully the Healing Church despised, and yet she came to Yharnam anyways. She became a student of Gehrman, the first hunter, and by every count she had surpassed everyone around her. The weapon of choice that she used, the Rakuyo, is a trick weapon of exceptional elegance, a design that focuses on this precision and commitment over brute force. While some hunters relied on these just massive hulking pieces of bronze or metal to basically smash whatever gets in their way, she worked precise. Only the movements that were needed were taken, and thus the Hunters of Yarn respected her completely. She was, by any measure, exactly the person the hunt was supposed to produce. Then came the fishing hamlet.
Yeah, I have to say I admire her. I'm always a big fan of... Well, sometimes in games it is fun to just have the biggest weapon possible and just smash the daylights out of things. But being able to move quickly and precisely is just so fun. And it's actually something we play with, that sort of like precise violence, perfect violence in Game Move. And there is a sword somewhere in one of the cities that we created out there that is believed to be a weapon of perfect violence. And no one can touch it because no one knows who can claim it. And at one point in recording, we did start calling it Perfect Violence Daddy. It's a fun thing to mess with because also it's the morality and the implications of it. The perfect strike, a quick, clean kill. Where is the line between hunter and monster?
I would wager in Bloodborne, probably right before the game began, because everything had already kind of gone sideways when you showed up. But the fishing hamlet is one of the most pivotal moments where even the great hunters like Maria realize that, alright, we may be the bad guys this time.
I kind of love that because it's just called the fishing hamlet. It sounds so small and inconsequential, but it's deeply consequential, I get the feeling.
Yeah, it basically becomes Eldritch Nightmare Ground Zero.
Hard to live that down.
Oh yeah.
Tell us about it.
So, I love how even the details for it, what happened in the fishing hamlet, is delivered in the way From Software delivers some of its worst revelations. Quietly, through item descriptions that you might easily miss, or even sometimes items that you find before you arrive at the hamlet, or in this case. And, well, standing alone, the description kind of gives you the hint that, okay, a hunter did something horrible somewhere. And then when you realize where it connects to is the fishing hamlet, oh, great. And basically, this is the entire town slogan should be, you should just not mess with an eldritch deity.
Yeah, that's not gonna work well.
Nope. And for the hunters, this does include Lady Maria and some of the other more notable hunters through the Bloodborne game. They descended on this quiet little hamlet because the villagers had a connection to a great one, also known a cosmic entity known as Kos. And the Healing Church wanted access to whatever knowledge that connection carried. What followed was a massacre. The villagers were dissected, their blood, eyes, and innards were harvested for research. Kos, the Eldritch One herself, already dead and washed up on the shore, was cut open. The child she carried, the orphan of Kos, was taken. Maria was present for all of it.
How did they kill a god? Is this one of those you can only kill a god if you kill all those who follow them?
The ability to kill eldritch gods was created through the hunters. Basically, the development of specific weapons that were designed to either sever eldritch connections or dispatch the flesh that connection infested.
Okay, so it basically just destroy their foothold, and they no longer live in this world. Okay, that makes sense. That's another thing that's always interesting, is how in this world do you go about killing God?
Yeah, well, they thought they killed the god, but it didn't go so well.
I would imagine not.
The Healing Church, as well as several other factions within Bloodborne, had a fascination with eyes. The more eyes that you attach to your brain, the better you could see into the Old One's designs. Which may have also helped them with killing the Old Ones, but also, putting a bunch of eyes in your head, probably not a great way for long-term survival.
No, just thinking on the basic medical level, doing that much surgery with basically very little medieval understanding of how surgery works to attach eyes that may not all be human to your brain. I mean, just the infection alone, not to mention all of the eldritch knowledge and the way that these other things are going to twist you and corrupt you. And this is where the winter lanterns, right? I remember we talked about those forever ago.
Yup.
Where they kind of look like weeping willows. But it's all organic, and it's eyes, and they sing.
And the song gets creepier the longer you listen to it.
Of course it does. I would be disappointed if it didn't.
The connection to Waterhouse is in the next section. The choice, or the decision, however you want to see it, what Maria did afterwards was a detail that does define her last moments in the world of Bloodborne. She threw her weapon into a well. She could not destroy it, so she discarded it, kind of in the way that you put something out of sight when you cannot put it out of mind. And then she went to the Astral Clock Tower, a structure that exists removed from the rest of the nightmare. So kind of this little area that was sectioned off, that she sealed herself inside of it. She became its guardian. She stayed there alone while the rest of the nightmare churned on around her. For what the game implies has been a very, very long time.
And that isolation had to be brutal, especially with not having anyone to talk to, not having any escape from the memories of what you've done, what you witnessed. Looking outside isn't much better. You are just stuck there forever with the mistakes that you made and the knowledge that you can't fix it, but you can make sure you don't make that mistake again.
And that's just what Maria did, is she made that particular choice. She wasn't imprisoned in the clock tower. She instead chose it.
Which is a difficult choice, and one that she could have gone back on or unmade at any point. But I am guessing she doesn't.
Nope. When you as the player finally reach her, this encounter has a quality that none of the other boss fights in this game possess. You are not walking into seeing a creature already on fire, or a eldritch nightmare that is mostly eyes and brain, or even another hunter that has fallen to the nightmare and become this monster. Instead, Maria is sitting there in a chair when you enter. You reach out to her, she grabs your arm, acknowledging you, and then you fight. There's no monologue, no grandiose entrance, none of the hallmarks of some of the other intelligent boss fights in Bloodborne. Just a person who's been waiting. They know what this moment is, and they meet it with complete composure.
Why does she fight, though?
To prevent the fishing hamlet from breaking out.
She can't let anyone in, because then something might get out.
Precisely. She is what blocks your character from reaching the fishing hamlet.
And why do you need to go to the fishing hamlet? That just sounds like a bad time.
The creature that sustains the hunter's nightmare is the Orphan of Kos. In order to stop the nightmare, you need to stop the orphan.
And the orphan is in the hamlet.
Correct.
So you're going in to stop this, but she can't risk you failing.
Exactly. And considering the original fishing hamlet destroyed several hunters, turning them into monsters, she did not really want a noob ending up the same fate.
And just making more monsters for her to contain, more things clawing at the walls and the doors.
Precisely. And even the fights, and this particular battle is one that has always stood out to me in all of Bloodborne, there's 3 phases in total, and each one tells you a little bit more about Maria. The first phase is pure technique. Fast, precise. This is Maria in her prime. The Rikuyo moving in patterns that speak to these years of mastery with her weapon. Through a lot of the history and the item descriptions, you know she is without peer. So she is giving you the hunter. The second phase begins when her health drops far enough, and she decides that she's going to up the ante. She sets her hands on fire, burning away her own blood to power her attacks. She's showing you what it takes to become a real hunter. And finally, the third phase is after Maria and you have both been pushed beyond their limits. She uses her old Canehurst heritage to add a spray of blood to her arsenal. Her own body becomes this weapon against itself. She is showing you that monster that's been living inside for so long. And finally, by the time she dies, you have watched a person dismantle themselves in front of you, one layer at a time. And her final words were not accusation or regret. Their exhaustion. She has been holding this for a very long time, and now she can finally put it down.
Because if you beat her, you might actually be strong enough to end this.
Precisely.
Imagine how many heroes, how many wannabe hunters have passed through here trying to get in that never stood a chance. And then you come along. And she doesn't have to stay there anymore. But the only way she can let you in to end this is if you kill her. It's poetic and deeply sad. Also, Canehurst is a fantastic name. It definitely does not have any connections to Cain and Abel, does it?
Well, considering Cain and Abel do have some connections to vampires and through some of the older history, sort of.
I need to brush up on my vampire history because I'm vaguely aware that Cain has connections to vampires, but I don't remember a lot of that lore. Then again, I also do have a lot of friends who their special interest is Vampire the Masquerade, so I could just ask them.
That may be safest because even my knowledge on this one is sketchy.
That is fair. That is fair.
That is kind of one of the most interesting points of Maria is her defeat, that she is just so tired, and now she can finally put everything down. She does not need to be the guardian anymore.
She can have peace. Question, does she know that your character is going there to kill the orphan? Does she know that you're there to end this?
Directly, the knowledge has not been provided, but the item lore does state that hunters have either passed to the fishing hamlet to harvest eyes or to discover the source of the nightmare. So I think both sides met with resistance.
Yeah, I was just wondering if, does she die knowing that you are there to bring an end to this? Or is she just like, well, I did my best. It's on you now.
Extrapolating from her last words, I'd say you could actually infer that she does believe you are there to stop the orphan.
What are her last words?
I would have to double check that. Give me one moment.
I definitely am going to need to play this game sometime. I'm going to die a lot and die horribly, but I need to play this game.
A corpse should be left well alone. Oh, I know very well how the secrets beckon so sweetly. Only an honest death will cure you now, liberate you from your wild curiosity. Those would be the final words said by her. It's the idea that, yeah, you are looking at what the cost was for Maria to look upon the secrets, so...
This is the price you will have to pay. The clock tower needs to be guarded.
And I can say, as somebody who has actually done that particular fight, I died a lot.
I mean, quick, precise weapon mastery, and then burning hands, and then spraying blood everywhere. That's a very intense fight.
That was the part that it was just like, okay, part 2 is done. What could she throw at me next? Oh, blood swords. Uh-oh.
And barrel roll, barrel roll, barrel roll. I don't know if that's the mechanic of the game. That was just my first thought.
I went with run!
Yeah, there's some fights where you just run really fast. You just run real fast. You just run around, get enough distance, launch a couple of attacks, and then you run around some more. Like the airshock fight in Dragon Age 2. Where you're just like, nope, 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 nope. apparently so many people did that in one of the DLCs for Dragon Age 2, one of your companions makes a joke about, are we just gonna run around in circles? It's like, Isabella, I would like you to remember why I had to do that was to save your ungrateful little butt.
The only thing you have to fear is fear itself, and dragons, and eldritch deities.
And the leader of the Kunari, who is big, has massive horns, and will rip you in half. And is charging at you.
Yeah, that would be uncomfortable.
Lots of verdict around in circles, especially when you're a squishy mage.
I usually went with the sharp object approach, but mage works too.
I like mage because it's more dramatic and heartbreaking to be a mage in Dragon Age 2.
Fair point.
That game just goes for all of the feels. And also with me, it does usually always circle back to Dragon Age or Mass Effect.
Which are great references in this case.
You have been listening to an unexpected art lesson about John William Waterhouse. If you like what we're doing, you can follow us on social media and join the conversation over at An Unexpected Art Lesson on Threads, Blue Sky, and Substack. And you can also support us over on Patreon. Get early access to episodes and other fun things at patreon.com/anunexpectedartlesson.